And welcome back, George Norrie with Michelle Welch. Michelle, you've got 5 children. You still keep doing all these things with your crystal stores. When do you have the time to do the psychic work?
Oh, I did it all day today. So all day, I saw clients all day long, and I have just been approached to consult on a case. And pretty confidential about that. I do talk about a couple of them in Spirits Unveiled when I get permission.
Sure.
In the court cases, but I just make the time. The kids are grown, so we're just working. I love reading for people and doing energy work. It's really what I'm supposed to be doing, and sharing it with others. I absolutely love it.
What are you thinking about angels? What are they?
Oh, wow. So we're raised to think a certain thing, and then we see that
and we're told certain things.
We are, and that term, that phrase, conditioned beliefs. I don't know that I was brainwashed. I don't want to go that far. I had, good parents, but you're taught something. You're indoctrinated. You go, and that's all you know. And I even attended seminary after law school for a while. A really good, very, very good seminary, and very hard. Actually, I think it was harder than law school. I got to the Hebrew, and I was like, forget it. I'm not going to finish seminary. But the angels to me are there's angels and archangels, and I do believe in them. What is interesting to me now, George, is that I never did think that I would have a shift in how I sense them or see them that I talked about at the top of the hour when I first got on, as far as them feeling more alienish to me. It's just for lack of a better word. And I had mentioned that I called a friend of mine because she was kind of raised the way I was, and I was like, am I losing it? I mean, what is this? And I didn't describe exactly what I was seeing. She said, well, don't tell me. And she's very solid. She's very credible. And she said, I've been seeing a shift in things too with angelic beings. And they don't even seem to have wings now. It's just more like this gargoyle-ish, still protective, because gargoyles protected, churches against evil, or thought to, but it feels alien and just foreign to me and not of here. But angels never did either feel of here, right? They felt other. But at the same time, I was used to always hearing about them and them being described in a certain way. And I even described them in a certain way in my book. And then after the book came out, I thought, Michelle, you didn't really put how you started seeing them in a different way. And I am so curious to know if anyone else has started seeing them in a different way besides just me and the other friend. And so, but what they are to me is the archangels do, what I've learned and I've always believed, is the major archangels do represent the characteristics of Source or God or what that is to someone. And there's all these characteristics, and they represent those different characteristics. One of the things I always find interesting is people will talk about Archangel Michael. And they'll be like, oh, Archangel Michael's protecting me. And I'm never condescending to anyone, but the way I see Michael, if Michael's protecting you, you don't need to be following around with like a little bottle of sage behind, around you everywhere.
Right, you've got the big guy.
You got you've got the big guy with an electric light sword that can cut through anything, and a legion of angels that come with him. He can smite, and build up or whatever. And so it does. I don't ever want to be condescending about it, but when you really do know what you are calling on and saying, I work with Archangel Michael, maybe really, really, really realize potentially work with the energy of Archangel Michael. But if Archangel Michael really is coming to do your fence, let's just put it this way. I do sell tools and things in my store that people can use for protection. If you got Michael working with you, you don't need to buy anything in the store at that moment.
Exactly.
You're just fine. So it's very interesting about the angels and all their characteristics. And I do think that, and you asked earlier about guides and how they approach us. I do think they approach us many times in a way we're ready to receive them, hopefully, and not always. Sometimes they approach us and we're freaked out, but many times they'll approach us in a way we're ready to receive them. But I do see a shift, and I really am interested to hear more people and listen more and more to your show to see if more and more people are seeing that shift. And it is a little bit, maybe to some people, blasphemous or whatever. No, it's not. Me, it's not. It's seeing things maybe with eyes that maybe we are ready to see now, and in the past maybe we were not ready to see them that way. Potentially.
We'll take some calls now, and Michelle will do some readings. If you don't want a reading, but you just have a general question about what we've been talking about, just jump in with that. But she will talk about yourself personally. You want a specific question about that? Then you'll also talk about the dead if they have a departed person, right?
I absolutely will. I usually take a little while for validation. We're just going to get there faster, and I'm very ethical on getting that validation. We'll get there a little more quickly due to time.
Yes.
Than normal. Okay.
Okay. Let's start by going to Pam, first-time caller in the state of Missouri. Hello, Pamela. Go ahead.
Hello. Woohoo. What a thrill. Thank you.
You got in.
My question for Michelle. I have a number of health issues, and I'm wondering if you can get any sense of which crystal would be most effective for me.
Okay, absolutely, I can. So, first of all, I'm sorry about that, and it's nice to meet you, Pam. I'm so glad that you got through. There is two come to mind for you. One is moonstone. It's a very It's named after Selena, the Greek goddess of the moon. And I don't know if you've ever seen that or heard of that beautiful stone. It's a stone of kind of water, is what it feels like to me. There is another stone that's much like it, and it's probably one of my most popular crystals here, quote unquote, but it's actually a rather man-made crystal, but it still works. It's called opalite, and it's absolutely beautiful. And they both can kind of go a blue color or a yellow color when put on a black background. What I'm getting for you is I also think you need something for like inflammation, and so I'm thinking of a calcite. I would probably use a green calcite. So all of these are very affordable stones. Moonstone, and I don't want you to get the black moonstone. It would be, which is beautiful, but the rainbow or just regular moonstone, an opalite, either or, and then maybe a calcite for inflammation is what I'm getting for you.
And how do you carry these around, Michelle?
Okay, great question. I like wearing them as bracelets, the stretch bracelets, because then it's just easy. They're lightweight, and just little beaded bracelets. And we sell those just really affordable, and that's how my business started. So, like I said, but you also can put them in little pouches. You can pin them somewhere to you. You can sleep by them. You can put them in your purse. But I'll tell you, at some point, my purse got to be like, it's just too heavy. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So you can wear them, on a chain, on a pendant, and we can wire wrap those, or anybody in people's local towns. There's so many good new metaphysical stores that can wire wrap you for things for very affordable. So all those different ways. I don't think that a lot of people ask, do you have to wear it in a certain way or on a certain place or on the left hand or on the right hand? People can get in all that, but I wouldn't get hung up on all those things. I would just wear it wherever it's most comfortable for you, or carry it with you. And you can just hold it at night or put it under your pillow and things like that. But I do get something, again, it just came immediately, opalite, moonstone, and I'm getting the colors kind of a blue and a yellow, which is blue is going to be kind of throat chakra, yellow is going to be solar plexus, which is kind of our stomach area. But moonstone is very much for just calming us down, and frankly, for women's issues too.
Let's go to Aaron in Fountain Valley, California, on the wild card line. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, George. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you.
Michelle Welch, you're doing a great job. Sounds very inspirational. My question was about Claire audience.
Okay.
And what you could exemplify upon that in your experiential, database of things that happen, because it's kind of like telepathy, but it's like you could kind of, my other thing was like about my father who had passed, and that's kind of where I picked up upon that ability that on Coast to Coast, another person had said that I had.
Okay. I don't know if I heard the rest of your sentence, Aaron, but so clear audience for me that's the clear hearing, and that can be typically it's something the inner voice. Something is saying something to you I call it your inner ear, and you hear something that no one else is hearing. It can rarely be where there's a being or even an angel, let's say, that everyone hears, or maybe a few people hear who during a fire says, "Get out," and then everybody's like, "Who said that?" And no one knows who said it. But typically it's that inner hearing, that inner, and so it's some thought but it's said to you almost, but it's in your, it's not like you're hearing things. Okay, so the way that has happened to me, and it actually does a lot. It feels sometimes it's like, especially when I'm not paying attention to the intuition that I know that I need to pay my attention to. And I will tell you how it happened with me. What you were speaking of your father passing, and I'm sorry for that, but I can assure you, with what I see with people passing, they're much better off than we think they are, and than what I grew up thinking. Okay, so my grandmother did use. I'm going to be quick about this. Compared to you and your father, does often communicate to me. She lived to be 106 through clairaudience.
106.
106, George, and I had, and Aaron, I had a kidney stone at an event where I was supposed to go introduce. We have these conventions.
Ouch! Right.
Yeah, and so we have these three like divination tarot conventions, one in New York, one here in Dallas, and one in Portland. And I was on the floor, and I was really like crying out like, "Help me, Jesus, help me, Jesus, help me!" And I'm not being biased, but I heard, "Get up off the floor and go do your job." And it was in my inner ear. I literally, not outer ear, just get up off the floor. And I was like, that doesn't sound like Jesus. That sounds like my grandmother. So as my grandmother very much believed in, was very spiritual, and she said, "Get up." And Aaron, so I get that, knowing things through clairaudience, and I do think we can very much communicate with our loved ones. And oftentimes they will have that ego self, that how they communicated to us before. And that's how I knew it was my grandmother. I'm very connected to her, and she was such a hard worker, and she told me, "You'll be fine. You can deal with it later. Get off the floor and go." And that is clairaudience, and that's how you can connect with somebody talking to you that has passed. And they will communicate with you, and you just have to trust that they're saying things that you know those are phrases they would use.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Next up, Ruth in Maryland. She just has a question, doesn't want a reading. Hi, Ruth.
Okay.
Hi, George and Michelle. Thank you for taking my call. And yes, I have a question about the stones. You were talking about the crystals a lot, and I have 3 phantom. They're called phantom crystals. They're crystals with like another spear inside of them. But I'm very curious about the kyanite. I have pieces of kyanite that are very rare. They're faceted. That are clear, that are faceted, which is very rare that a piece of kyanite can be faceted. And one of the callers has called in a couple times about kyanite, but I didn't catch it, and I was just wondering if you could comment on the two. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I didn't totally hear the first one. I'm going to talk about kyanite. First of all, kyanite, if it's clear kyanite, that is rare, and it's absolutely beautiful. What I get for kyanite in general, the way it grows, and I won't get too technical with the geology of it, but the way it grows is actually very it's like double growth, okay? And there's black kyanite that we can sweep energy with, blue kyanite that is very connected to the angelic and spirit guide realms. All beautiful, but clear is to me going to connect you very, very much with Source or God or whatever that is to you, the collective. And it's and because of the twin blading of kyanite, the way it is formed, again, don't want to get too serious here, take too long. It's can be fragile to some extent, but on another, it's also very, very strong. And so what I get for you with this use of this very rare kyanite that you have is that just remember that sometimes the things that we think are going to break us, those are the things that really where we end up being the strongest. And that you have both there. And I think that's what that clear kyanite is supposed to be for in your life. So I hope I answered the question. I couldn't hear exactly about the first one. I think you said a sphere inside of something else. And when you have that, something that's grown inside of another crystal, or even like, let's just say if it was a phantom inside of something else, then I think that's a beautiful stone to read with, because it's telling, that stone is telling you its story of how it formed. And then you can look at those and really say, okay, what is it trying to tell me? So, yeah, it's so great that you have those really rare crystals.
Michelle, can people contact you through your website?
Absolutely, michellewelch.com. And they can book appointments. I have a crystal cheer recipe for crystals for the holidays that they could have, and I have my books on there. So, yes, absolutely, michellewelch.com.
And what's the other book that you're working on?
So I am working on, I said Boring Peace. Yeah, I'm working on a book that I truly believe that all of us have, like we have different learning styles. We all have different ways of exercising our intuition. We don't all have to do what I'm doing for a living. Yes, I was a lawyer forever. I'm licensed to practice law, but how do we use them in our daily lives? But it frustrates some people. So the book, the working title is something like the Psychic Playbook. It's like you will put together which of those clears that you took me through, which ones, how, and I give exercises. I also give ancient practices.
Well, you make sure you come back on the show when those books come out, when that one comes out. But we're going to come back in a moment and take final calls in just a second. And welcome back. We're back with Michelle Welch, the intuitive, and her book is called Spirits Unveiled. She's working on a new one, so we'll be having her back. What's our timetable on that publishing date, Michelle?
Well, I turned in the second draft, so I'm thinking hopefully spring, probably not first of year, spring, probably, catalog, publisher Lou Ellen. So looking forward to it.
Stay in touch with us. Let's go to the phones. Cornelius is with us in Louisiana. Hello there, Cornelius.
Hey there, George and Michelle. I'm not too far away from you here in Alexandria, Louisiana, and I got a friend of mine that's in Dallas, Texas, so I'm going to try to see you, and I got a friend of mine that can email you. Miss Michelle, they call me the God, Guns, and Gold Man, the Bible, Bullets, and Beans Man. And in the land of voodoo, hoodoo, and you-do over here in Louisiana next door to you, I was telling Tommy, and we all prayed for Tommy, and thank you, George, for, telling us Tommy was sick and everything. And the power of prayer can do a whole lot of things. I got a Thanksgiving message you won't believe. And I was telling Tommy, see, I believe the things that you're seeing that are gargoyle-like and stuff are demonic and stuff to me. And I read the Bible and stuff. We're not supposed to talk to the dead or anything like that. That's necromancy. But my question for you, I don't know if you can see future events for America, but I can see America getting hit by a nuclear bomb or some type of, they want us into a race war. They're dividing us on purpose and stuff like that. So do you see anything for America? Thank you, George, and God bless America.
Oh.
Well, let's see. I hope you have a more pleasant outlook, Michelle.
Right. For the past 3 years, I don't see a nuclear bomb hitting us. For the past 3 years, I have given. I don't. And I respect his beliefs, by the way. Anything he has to say on that, I understand where he's coming from. Been through that with things he's speaking of, so respect that for him. I would say what I have received some messages, because of course this time of year we do, and just to keep it short, I do think we're going to go through some things. I don't think things seem to be as, I think our critical time, and this doesn't take a psychic, it's critical times coming up with these elections, this election, and there's things going on around the world that we look at and we go, okay, man, this is the end, But no, it was about 3 years ago when I felt more that way. And we have this thing we call bracelets and bellinis, and we literally, it's just packed and sold out at every store. And we come and I have certain stones for every month, and then they randomly draw their crystals, and I read them for them, and I have other readers. And point being, I will hand out sort of a year, do it with astrology, but also just my intuition that was coming. And I will say, George, that it was hard for me for like the past 3 or 4 years to okay, where's the hope? What are we going to find positive? I'm finding that this year's more positive. I'm not going to tell everybody that it's perfect, but I find that it's going to be a little more positive. Are we there yet? No. We have a lot of things to work through, absolutely. But I just don't feel as like I can't even, in good faith, I'm such a fake if I even write this and say anything positive. I don't feel that way this year, which is really nice, that I can give hope and say some things that are positive as opposed to maybe the past, especially 3 years ago where I didn't feel like I could do that as much at all.
That's good. Let's go back to the phones west of the Rockies. Jennifer's with us in San Bernardino, California. Hi, Jen.
Hi there. Boy, this is a thrill. Thank you, Michelle. This is an honor. I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I was just wondering, I know this sounds petty, but
go ahead.
My ex owes me a lot of money, and he's supposedly going to be coming into some big money, and I want to know if you see any money coming in for me. And I gave up on love a long time ago, so I don't care about love. And I know my loved ones are with me in spirit, so I thought I would ask about money.
Okay, so money's not petty, and we can ethically answer that question because it does concern you, right? When we're dealing with people that are, exes or out of our life, just to be clear, very ethical. When it concerns you, I can answer that question. So what I'm asking for you is, are you going to see some of that money that you're owed from the person that, you're owed it, that owes it to you? It's interesting because what I get is sort of the tax card, and now this person's not here to defend themselves, but I'm going to just say there's some big taxes involved. It comes away right away. I don't know if they're just so behind on their taxes that they can't pay you. I'm getting kind of a no for you to be, and I'm a very honest reader. I always want to give people hope, but I'm getting a little bit of a no for you. So I would be careful what you're spending to collect what you're trying to, and as an attorney, I'm talking as a psychic here, but as an attorney, I would always tell people, okay, there's a principle of the thing, and there's how much you're spending to get what you deserve, and at some point you got to weigh that. So right now, I'm sorry to tell you, I'm kind of getting that. I don't see, and I feel like if there is something coming in, there's a lot of taxes that might not be taken care of on it.
Can you collect from somebody who owes you money, Michelle, if it's a non-documented note? Let's just say it's a verbal agreement, your word against his.
Depends on the amount, and it depends on the state. So, because I did a lot of contract litigation, so if you don't have like a promissory note, if that's what you're talking about,
right.
writing, it depends on the amount of that, and depends on whatever other evidence that you bring forward. There is, but if it's just verbal, it depends really on the amount and the state that you're in and the other evidence that you have to prove, because you might have something that could sort of qualify within different states as a promissory note. In Texas, I know exactly what I have to have because I've actually had to deal with somebody owing me on a promissory note. But So it does depend. But yes, but the amount matters in most states.
Let's go to Beaumont, Texas, matter of fact. Let's go to Vaughn. Welcome to the show.
How are y'all?
Hi, Vaughn.
I want to ask a question. I couldn't figure out which one between my relationships or my mother-in-law, ex-mother-in-law, who just passed away. But I told Tommy that I've been having before that. I told Tommy I've been having incidents of either reading something while it's being said by somebody, or coming through radio, or somebody. I've been having like experiences of sort of matching things, like almost like. I'm looking at something and I already was thinking of it, and also I might see a word on a vehicle that seemed like it's the answer to my question, that I'm thinking.
As you're thinking about it.
Yeah, but other than that, I wanted to ask a question about my mother-in-law who just passed away. So if you could address both of those, then.
I will. And first of all, I love Beaumont. I have family there. So, yeah, if it's Beaumont, Texas, I'm not sure if that's, but I'm not sure if that's where you were calling from.
Yeah, that's where he's calling from.
Yeah, so love it there. So, first of all, you are absolutely, I want to encourage you to absolutely not discount anything that you're receiving, because you are receiving signs when you see those signs. It's synchronicity, but it's also just signs that you're being given from whomever, that, and then you can start asking, who's this sign that I'm being given? So that is so great for you, and don't ever dismiss it. Just, there's a lot of trust in that you're getting signs, and start asking questions and saying, show me this, because you definitely are getting messages, and I feel that. As far, did you say it's your ex-mother-in-law?
She just was buried maybe almost a week ago.
Okay. So, but did I hear you? Is that it's your ex-mother-in-law? Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay. All right. Here's what I get. I will tell you, first of all, I get something about be okay, and everybody needs to be okay with the question of how she was, quote-unquote, laid to rest. There's something with that I want y'all to know it's just fine. So if whatever the plans were, something that didn't go, or y'all were wondering a way to do it and how she was laid to rest, that maybe will make sense to you. So you said it was about a week ago. I want you to here's what I would like for you to do. I believe she's going to come through to you, and I do believe it's going to be through, catch this, something having to do with plants, or even outside, bushes, if you know where she lives. But if you don't, I'd like you to just almost seriously connect with like a bush of like flowers or bushes outside, or a plant, because I feel like there's some way that, and they have a lot of energy, like Curly in photography has shown us that. But I feel like there's something where you already are starting connecting to things, and you're going to connect to her through that. I also get that she's giving a message of there's something with the vehicle that that it's not like somebody's going to have a wreck in it. Okay, my daughter just had a horrible wreck a week ago. She is a miracle. She's here, and but it's not that. But this vehicle needs to be checked, and it has not been checked. And this is something that this ex-mother-in-law is concerned about. Do you know about that? If not, I'd like you to look into it.
Well, I just made a purchase of a vehicle today for my daughter, and I feel like it might have been an accident. It was from a rental company. They don't report, their accidents, and I just been uneasy about that, and I just purchased it cash today.
Okay. Well, it's no mistake, as you know, because of these signs you've been receiving, that you talked to me tonight. Now, I'm not going to tell you that means something horrible is going to happen. It might have been an accident. I would just check have the airbags checked. Just do your due diligence on what might. So just have maybe a friend, somebody that a friend of a friend that can look at a car and be honest with you, and just make sure, because she seems.
They'll know right away.
Yeah. So she Your loved one seems to be concerned about that. Okay?
Next up, let's go to Jose, truck driving in Texas. Hello, Jose.
Hello. I'm from Houston, but I've traveled through Texas going to Odessa. You want to burn the rest of them? My daughter passed away 2 years ago, and I was just wondering if she had a message for myself, my wife, or her kids.
Well, first of all, I'm so sorry, Jose. I do have a message.
Okay.
How specifically the message that's coming through first and foremost for me is how old was her youngest when she passed away?
Her youngest boy?
The youngest child when she passed away.
About a year old.
Okay. So this child will think this child, won't remember her mother. She cared what the message is coming through. She's okay, but she wants everyone to be sure that they let this youngest child remember who she was. Okay? She's still, and that's a little.
That's important to her, isn't it?
It's very important to her. A mother wants their child to remember them for who they were. She has a lot of love that's pouring out. I don't typically get really emotional and get sensationalistic with things, but I'm telling you, I feel her wanting so much for y'all to know she's okay, but she does want her children to remember her and to remember how much she loved them.
Got a minute left, Michelle. How do people get a hold of you?
MichelleWelch.com, and they can get a hold of me for everything. All three of my books, Palooza, Spirits Unveiled, Magic Connection, and bookings with me on that website. And also I have a lot of free things that they can download from that website, too.
What's the best crystal for good luck?
Oh, green aventurine. Green aventurine, it is known as the good luck stone, and it's also known as the gambler's stone, but, I'm not going to make any promises with that. But it's green aventurine, and that is the best crystal for good luck.
A lot of people need a lot of good luck these days, don't they?
They do, don't they? A lot of encouragement, a lot of hope, I think, too. So, yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're going to plan on getting you back sometime in the spring when your next book comes out. Title to be given a little later on, huh?
That'd be great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks, Michelle.
All right.
Take care. Up on our next Coast to Coast program, Ken Groenbach joins us to talk about how changing demographics are changing the way we think. So stick with us. For Adam Thompson, Tom Danheiser, Dan Galante, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladouceur, Stephanie Smith, Chris Burrows, Tim Banal, George Knapp, and Ian Punnett. I'm George Norrie, somewhere out there on Coast to Coast AM. We'll see you on our next edition. Until then, be safe, everyone.